Two-game NBA slate. I didn't. I had some shots with the showdown last night. I couldn't quite bring it home. I did have. I did not a showdown, the two-gamer, and I did cash in my biggest buy-in. I didn't play the 555 last night, but it was an okay night. I'm hoping to do a little bit better tonight. I feel pretty dialed in to what's happening, and I keep getting these. The weird plays have actually really worked in my favor lately, and I just haven't put the right pieces around. And I had the Alec Burks a couple times with 3% ownership and whatnot, and it's just hard to get low owned spots. But the main thing that you always say, Sheets, is it's really hard to fade the chalk in these situations. Yeah. And I'm always looking for the creative play, but it's hard to bring them home. And now you have Alec Burks instead of at 3K at no ownership. You're going to get Alec Burks at 50% ownership. And now I'm going to talk about fading him. So any overall thoughts? Or you want to just talk about
first of all, let's talk about last night's game a little bit. I mean, was it just me? I was just waiting that whole game for Oklahoma City to win. You know what I mean? I would just sit there. I mean, like what's his name was Luka was off. Luka wasn't playing too well. And the announcer like, well, for Luka not playing too well, they're lucky to be up by 8. Yeah, you know what? That's you're walking through the raindrops a little bit too much there, kind of coasting in there like that when your team's not playing well. Oklahoma City's no joke, if you don't put them away, especially when you're not playing well, that's not going to work. And and the other game, I mean, listen, without what's his name, they're just kind of outgunned.
Boy, they gave it a fight though, huh?
They did.
I almost made the bet.
A fight for all the Celtics to get there. You know what I mean?
Right. But the problem is, but I almost made the bet at plus 650 because my buddy sent me it's plus 650. I'm like, I think they win it more often than that. And but they covered the first half spread. They covered the game spread. So all those bets came in well. So that was at least nice. And mostly it was my buddy's money.
So what do you think of these games? I mean,
okay. I like. I don't know how or why, but I like the Knicks. I feel like the Knicks have been outplayed in this series pretty badly. I don't feel like it's necessarily even accurate that they should be favored. I sort of have a feeling that they grind one out tonight. I don't exactly know how it's going to happen, but that was my initial feeling. And again, if I didn't look at the spread at all, I actually thought it would be even. But basically, they're saying the Pacers are a better team. 2 points for the Knicks. Minnesota being only 4.5-point dog to Denver. I feel, and it might even be accurate. I love the way Minnesota's played in the series. I love Minnesota, or in the first 2 games of the series. I love Minnesota as a team. I think that the Nuggets hit the most difficult shots I've ever seen on Sunday in game 4, and it was just elite offense, just outdoing elite defense every time, and it was awesome defense by Minnesota. However, 4.5 points. I feel like this could easily I don't know, the Nuggets might not look back. We might not see. We saw this from before. They literally could cruise and not lose another game in the postseason, and I wouldn't be shocked. At the same time, I wouldn't be shocked if the Wolves came out and won tonight. So I'm a little iffier on that one. What I do like is the over. I think it'll play a little bit faster tonight than it did the last 2. That's my take. What do you like?
Well, first of all, going back to DFS, I mean, it seems pretty clear that the Knicks Pacers are going to be the better target because it's a 10 points higher total, I suppose.
And the Knicks only play 4 guys.
And the Knicks only play 4 guys. Now they've been playing. How many are they playing? Precious and Hartenstein together, or they are?
Yeah, they put Precious sort of into the role of OG. But the problem is he's not quite the same on the in terms of guarding some of the perimeter stuff. So that's why they've gotten a little deeper with Burks lately. As basically a direct sub off of them.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you got two series that now what? All the nonsense. It's now 2-2, right, in both series. And the home team is a small favorite. I think both lines make sense. And I don't really have much of an opinion on against the spread here. It does seem like the Denver Minnesota game is right to go over, just because you can get freaking Anthony Edwards get 101 points all by himself. Jesus. Jesus. And then obviously Jokic has got it going, and Jamal Murray's got it going, and yes, defense is better in playoffs, and these are 2 good defensive teams, and Minnesota can really clamp it down. I agree. I think it's primed to go over. the Pacers game, just because, again, the idea that the home team might control the pace a little better. I don't know. Maybe the Knicks don't get into as big of a shootout as the Pacers have been trying to make them do when they're at home a little bit. I don't know. Maybe, so if I had to guess, I would say Pacers under, Nuggets over, but I give myself a 50.001% edge in those.
Yeah.
As far as DFS, I mean, anything funky you want to play here?
Okay, so I have some thoughts on that. TJ McConnell is supposed to be very low owned today. That is just proven to be a guy you want to get exposure to when he's going to be lower owned. If he's really going to be 17% owned, like sort of the industry is thinking, I will play him 40% or 50%. You know what I mean? There's definitely a bus pack there. Obi Toppin, who played great in the 2 games in New York, had one down game, and I would say Obi Toppin is another one you can get at low ownership. Ben Shepherd is a little fringier, but I think that he's another one you can get at low ownership because they're going to go the other direction. And Ben Shepherd can get hot. You know what I mean? It's hit a few threes, and you're basically paying for yourself. The problem is there's not really upside for minutes on the Indiana guys because we just know what their rotation is. You know. On the Knicks side, I think, Brunson will be a plug and play basically for me every game at home, especially. He's going to get all the calls that he doesn't get on the road. I will say that I think Josh Hart is a better play than DiVincenzo, but I think they're both good plays. And I will probably fade Alec Burks, which worries me a little bit because I actually think there's a lot of upside there. And my plan was to fade him and play more of McBride, but I don't think they're getting any sort of ownership discount in any way there. So that's sort of the tricky part. The interesting part is going to be what are we doing with Jokic, Murray, and Edwards? And Edwards, as great as he is, because of the style, he's such a good player, by the way. And honestly, I'm shocked at how he doesn't take bad shots. He just won't do it. So I was amazed at how well he played, and I thought he should have taken more bad shots actually because they needed something. He was incredible, but like he should have scored 60. That's the only way they were going to win that game. So I think Towns has a bounce back game, but that'll be chalky. I think Edwards is a good play, but I just think it's a little high ownership wise for the style of play because he literally needs to score like 40 points. Whereas I think Brunson, because of the load, is probably going to do it more often. I don't think Cat's going to miss like his first 10 shots again. The fringy one who's been horrible in this series, and people are talking about like he's negative 42 for the series, is Nickeil Alexander-Walker. But I think those numbers are a little fishy because a lot of that was in game 3 where they lost by 35. And I think that he's still a part of the rotation. I would include some Nickeil Alexander-Walker as the low-owned play in your stack, in whatever. Jamal Murray, look, we've seen him get into foul trouble. We've seen him hobbled a little bit, which makes Reggie Jackson at less than 1% ownership just an interesting play to me. Whereas people will play the Holiday and Braun. I don't think people will play Reggie Jackson. I wouldn't mind getting a little bit of Reggie Jackson here. And I think Michael Porter Jr. ends up way lower owned than he's projected because it's been the Aaron Gordon show. If they're going to be the same amount owned, I like Gordon. If we really think that if people, what I think is going to happen is I think Gordon ends up like, I don't know, he ends up probably around 40%. I think Porter ends up around 15 or 20. That means I like Porter. It's just simple as that. I'm just going to play that. The problem is, do you play Jokic? Do you play Murray? And I don't have an answer for you yet because I'm going to play Brunson. It's tempting to play Brunson Edwards or Brunson Halliburton. And that means you just can't play Jokic. And if you do play Jokic, you're going to run into a lot of similar builds, even though Jokic is going to be low owned or lower owned than the other stars. So yeah, Halliburton and Jokic versus Brunson and Edwards. While it doesn't feel as good, I think that's an interesting way just to get different immediately. Then you play Towns as the other scorer for Minnesota. You hope it's the Towns game, not the Edwards game. And that's the way I would go. I do think and I think Minnesota, like, again, it feels weird saying this, but if there was a game that Denver was going to, Denver just blew them out once and would have been twice if not for Edwards being spectacular. That's why I said the thing about the point spread is I honestly feel like Denver should be more of a favorite here, but I also have my gut feeling is that, Minnesota could easily win the series still. So sort of talking about a lot of different things, but that's my overall outlook of what I think.
Yeah, I'm inclined to be under on Alec Burks. I'm also inclined to go to be really over on TJ McConnell, as you just kind of mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And the other guy who just remains free, who gets in there, can rack up points when he does, is Isaiah Jackson.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know when he's coming in the game. I don't know what his story is, whatever. Maybe he doesn't play at all this time. Who knows? But 3,100, certainly in Showdown, but maybe even it's, in the 2 game where I include him. This is just like alongside like the usual guys, right? So,
I think he is one of the usual. I think he's a total legit.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, not like crazy. He's like projected right now, 15% ownership. I think it's reasonable. I want to rerun things later and see where the ownership is, because I'm curious. Some of these early things just don't quite make sense to me.
The fact is, listen, it's a 2-game slate and everybody's freaking firing this stuff. You know what I mean? So even the ownership projections are going to be kind of weird,
But Alec Burks just proved to us that we can look. So you adjust and then you adjust back, right? Like,
right. That's true. Listen, I think it's either Burks or McBride, right? I don't think you play both of them.
Right.
And listen, that's something you can do. You can make a rule, min one of those two, just to make sure you don't get both.
But that scares me too, because we've seen neither of them score in the 2 Knicks wins. Neither of them put up any points.
Well, that's fine. I didn't mean min one. I meant max one.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, for sure. That makes sense. I just think that the Reggie Jackson thing is only interesting. I mean, partly it's interesting because of the low ownership. But one thing is, I thought he actually helped and played really well. I mean, he put up 13 fantasy points. He only played 9 minutes.
Right.
But he can play. I mean, that might be good enough,
Yeah, but you get foul trouble, you get stuff going on, like it's for other players. I mean, anything's possible.
Yeah, and probably the most interesting name I want to close with, because I'm not sure if everybody caught on to this. I think that they like Christian Braun guarding Anthony Edwards better than anybody else in their team. They closed the last game with it. They used it in game 3. And Christian Braun, if he's going to be closing, he's the obvious value play that I thought was going to be like 70% owned. He's projected to be 20% owned. He's the other one I would get way over on, because it also, I don't know, man. I'm going to go with what I saw in the last game. They had him guarding. He was the 5th man on the court for them. They actually they benched Porter just to keep Braun on Edwards. So that means they like him, and to play Edwards, that's going to be a guy I have to play some of. He and Justin Holiday have done every bit as good of a job, or actually a better job, than KCP has. So I kind of like leaning on those guys a little bit. All right. Well, we'll be live at 6, and we'll touch on some more things. Hopefully we can improve on yesterday's results and have a big night.
All right, man. I will see you at 6 o'clock.
All right. See you, buddy. Have a good one, everybody. See you at 6.
Wait, just so you guys know, by the way, the NBA doesn't start till 8. Just
yes.
Just so you know.
And unfortunately, we don't have too many big question marks that we take seriously. Although we thought that yesterday with Donovan Mitchell, and then